Okay, guys, hopefully this lesson didn't frustrate you. Hopefully you were able to work it. We're going to work it together, lesson practice, and then hopefully you got a couple of them correct and you kind of understand after I've worked these, and you'll be good to go, okay? Were your eyes like this? Oh my goodness, trying to count these suckers. Okay, here we go. So A was, Mackenzie jumped over a bar that was 167 centimeters high. We had one like this when we were going over the lesson. So 167 centimeters. We know there are 100 centimeters in a meter. So we know we have at least 1 meter, right? Because 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. So if we have 167, we know we have 1 meter. But then we have 67 centimeters, which doesn't make a meter. So we know it's part of a meter. And we know on the other side of the decimal is where we put the parts. Because the whole numbers go on the left, the parts of whole numbers go on the right. So if we have 1 whole meter, this 67 centimeters has to be a part of a meter. It's going to go over here, and it tells us what part that is right there in the answer. 1 67/100 meters. So 167 meters equals 1 67/100 meters. Okay? All right, B. Okay, you've got this number line in your book. It was a number line. 5, 6, 7, 8. Aren't you supposed to dance when you hear 5, 6, 7, 8? Yeah, well, I'm here all day, folks. Okay, so we've got B. Between 5 and 6, there's 10 pieces. On a number line, remember, if there's 10 pieces here, every one of these between the whole numbers has to be 10 pieces because it has to be the same. You can't have 3 here, 2 here, 5 here. Has to be consistent on a number line. So we know that these are all 10 pieces. That should make our work here a lot easier. Okay, so if we know this number is between 5 and 6, we know our base number. We're going to do the mixed numbers first because I think that's easier for us to do on the number line. If the number is between 5 and 6, and I'm going to use a different pen so that you can see what I'm doing. I think that might help too. If it is between 5 and 6, we know that the whole number is going to be 5. So for B, let's put our answers over here. A is 1 67 meters. B, we know that the base number, the whole number, is going to be 5. Now we have to figure out what is the fraction going to be. Well, we know that this is 10 because we counted the spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we know that we have 10. So the number that we have is always the denominator that goes down, right? The number on top is what we want. And what we want is where the arrow is pointing. So the arrow is pointing to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the mixed number is 5 and 5/10. So we can write the decimal would be 5 decimal 5. 5 and 5/10. We know it's correct because when we say them, they sound exactly the same. 5 and 5/10, 5 and 5/10. We know we've done it correctly. Tenths, the first place value, okay? Let's look at C. It is a number between 6 and 7, so we know our whole number is going to be 6. We already know that our denominator is going to be 10 because that's how many we have. Now, how many do we want? We start at 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 and 8/10. Let's write it as a decimal. 6 and 8/10. Look at D. It's between 7 and 8. Our arrow is between 7 and 8. We know the whole number is going to be 7. We know our denominator is going to be 10 because that's how many we have. How many do we want? The arrow is showing how many we want. So let's start at 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. You should have gotten 7 and 4/10 as your mixed number. As your decimal, it's going to sound exactly the same, 7 and 4/10. All right? Now this is the part that will make you bug-eyed, cross-eyed. Did me. Oh my goodness. All right, so it says locate, no, I'm on the wrong problem. Where are we? We are trying to find E, F, and G. Okay. We know it's going to be between 4 and 5. Ta-da! I know it's a 4. It's going to be the whole number 4. But what will these arrows be? So the first thing we have to do is figure out how many do we have. That's the first part, right? Okay, so I'm going to start counting by 5s because if you look real closely on your number line, you can see that it's kind of got a little bit larger tick mark. Remember they're called tick marks? Has a little bit larger tick mark every 5th one. I bet I can count by 5s. Let's see. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. 100 is my denominator. Now, all you have to do from here is go out and count how many you want. So for E, how many do I want? I just count to the arrow. Well, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So E is 4 and 5/100. There's the mixed number. Now let's write it as the decimal. Now remember, you're going to have to know your place value to do the decimal. 4 and if I put the 5 here, this says 4 and 5/100. Does this say 4 and 5/100? No, this says 4 and 5/10. So when you're checking yourself, if these don't say, if they don't, when you read them, if they don't sound the same, you've messed up. Okay? There's your clue. So 4 and 5/100, this 5 cannot go there. Let's put a 0 in that place value and put our 5 here. 4 and 5/100. Okay. We got it. All right. Very important you guys learn these place values. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Okay. I'm going to show you a little something after we get through with our lesson. All right. So this is E. Let's look at F. F is going to be very similar. It's going to start with 4. Our whole number is going to be 4 because it's in between 4 and 5. All right, so now F, we know we have 100. So we're already 2/3 of the way through. All we got to do is, what do we want? We got to count from 4 to the arrow. Let's count by 5s because we know we can do that. That's going to take us a lot quicker. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. And that arrow is pointing not to 45. It's pointing to the one right before 45, which is 44. All right. So we've got 4 and 44/100. There's our mixed number. Let's write our decimal. 4 and 44, and that last number ends at hundredths. So we're good. Let's do G. We know it's going to be 4. Hopefully you guys can see that. I think you can. 4. We know our denominator is going to be 100. Let's count from 4 to G. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95. Whoa! Dog went through there. Okay. 4 and 95 hundredths. Okay? So there's our mixed number. Let's do our decimal number. 4 and 95 hundredths. 95, the 5 ends at the hundredths place value. We're great. They sound the same. All right. Let's look at H. Locate 6 and 8/10 on the number line and round to the nearest whole number. Okay, so very quickly, I'm going to finish these last ones off real quick because hopefully they made more sense to you now. And I know that you had one of these like this on that benchmark test. So hopefully this is all making a lot more sense to you. So we've got 6 and 7, and it's divided into 10 pieces. So it says locate 6 and 8/10 on the number line. So hopefully 5, 6, 7, 8, you've located it there. So where would you, if you had 6 and 8/10, which whole number is it closest to? 7. It rounds, not equal to, it rounds to 7. Okay? And then on, they have you to round 4 and 44 hundredths to the nearest whole number. Okay, so you could do that too. You have 4, and if you have, well, you would have to do 100 of these to 5. But remember our trick. Remember Cuba? If you did Cuba, you want to round to the nearest whole number, so you circle what you want to round to. So I want to circle to this whole number. There's my whole number. I wrote that kind of sloppy. Circle your whole number. You underline the next number to the right. Is it a big boy number or is it a little baby number? It's a little baby number because it's less than 5. So what do? Is it a big boy or a baby? It's a baby. You round down. So it rounds to 4. Okay? All right. And then it asks you to locate 4 and 4/10 on the number line and round to the nearest whole number. So we can use this number line up here. 4 and 4/10 would be right here. What does it round to? It also rounds to 4. Those should be pretty easy for you. The last one, K, estimate the sum of 6 and 8/10 and 5 and 9/10. So hopefully you can see that 6 and 8/10 is going to round up to 7. And your 5 and 9/10 is going to round up to 6 because they're big boy numbers. 7 and 6 is 13. All right. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you're happy about what you learned because you should be happy with yourself. Be proud. You learned something today.